This past Monday, the nation paid tribute to its war dead. Good Sunday morning, everybody. It's those unfinished stories and even untold stories that we're going to focus on today with Bill Beigel. Bill is, how would you describe you? It's too simple to describe you as a military historian.
Right. I think a better way to describe me as a researcher of World War II and Korean War casualty records.
This is Midday Sunday. We're talking about, we're talking with Bill Beigel about the research that you do into the men and women who served primarily during World War II, but also Korea.
Right.
And what we've decided we're going to refer to as untold stories about their military careers.
Right.
And we've been focusing on one of your larger projects, which was UCLA.
Right.
There was a draft at this point. Were all these fellas drafted, do you know? Or
a lot of them
volunteers?
were drafted. A lot of them were ROTC. A lot of them were volunteers.
Reserve Officer Training Corps?
Correct. Yeah, there was a very extensive ROTC and Naval ROTC program at UCLA. Mm-hmm. You look at the photos from the yearbooks in the late 30s, early 40s, there's hundreds of guys that were part of that program.
And considering the patriotism during World War II, particularly at the beginning, these guys probably one way or another were eager to go.
I think they were very eager to go, and they went into many of these guys were officers, and because they were junior officers, the casualty rates among them were huge. These guys were second and first lieutenants in the Army, and they were the guys they called the 90-day wonders.
Exactly, yeah.
And they'd be in training camp in New Jersey, and 2 weeks later they'd be in a snowstorm in Luxembourg, under German shelling, and many of them lost their lives that way.
Yeah, but they were great heroes.
Absolutely.
Although when you mentioned 90-day wonders during my military career, certainly ran into a lot of those. Sometimes literally, because they were lost in more ways than one.
Right.
One of the people that you did, one of the UCLA graduates, well, they may not have been graduates.
They were not all graduates. I think Peterson was the only graduate.
Okay.
And Brooks. Peterson and Brooks both graduated. Okay, yeah. The others did not graduate.
So that brings us to Fratus.
Right.
His first name, I don't recall.
I believe it's William.
Yeah, okay. William Fratus.
Real interesting guy, and the way that I found out about him was I got a hold of a number of fraternity offices, the main offices that they have, and I got his fraternity to send me their newsletters from the mid to late 1940s. Mm-hmm. And I found 10 or 11 UCLA grads I didn't even have in their newsletter. And, Fratus really seems like a guy that I would have liked to have gotten to know. Mm-hmm. One of the things that was so interesting about him was when they sent back his personal effects, he had these books.
Oh, yeah. And
the one about the giant book of dog stories, I wondered, is that a book he had since he was a boy? Mm-hmm. Or was he just the guy that really liked dogs? Mm-hmm. And the other thing that was so heartbreaking about him is that his wife and his mother had sent him a big Christmas package not long before he died.
Yeah.
And when it arrived, he was missing in action. One of his buddies said, "We saw 2 planes go down. We know one of them was wrecked. The other one we don't know about. So maybe he was in the plane that was wrecked. Maybe he was in the plane that wasn't. But both planes were behind enemy lines. So they really couldn't say what his story was. But when they got the package, they realized that it was going to be a long, long time before they ever saw him again, if they ever saw him again. So they distributed the goodies in there to various guys in his unit. And it was very sad reading the letter from the military back to his wife, because obviously this guy knew him very well. Mm-hmm. It was not impersonal as so many of them were.
Mm-hmm. And imagine what a difficult letter that must have been to write.
It had to be very difficult, and I would like to think that whoever wrote the letter tried to find his family after the war and said, here's how we remember him.
For more information about the fascinating work that Bill Beigel does, the name of your company is?
Personalized World War II Historical Research.
There you are. And you can find this fascinating site that he has. It's www.research.com. You don't need the www in front. It's just www.research.com. And the phone number is 310-791-3949.